Hello, and welcome to Spoonful of Species, your go-to place for conservation through baking. My name is Caitlin, and I'm an interpretive naturalist with years of experience telling the stories of animals, both aquatic and terrestrial. I'm also an avid baker, so each week I bake an animal-themed dessert and then discuss the conservation stories for that animal and hopefully help you learn a few fun facts along the way. This week we made Hummingbird Cake, which is a real thing. It's a real cake that has a lot of components. I've actually never made this cake before, but from the reviews that I got, it turned out pretty awesome. To make your hummingbird cake, you will need 2 cups of chopped pecans, 3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of allspice, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 2 cups or 4 ripe mashed bananas, 1 8-ounce can of crushed pineapple, 3 large eggs, 2/3 cup of vegetable oil, 1 cup of brown sugar, 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. To make your cake, first, toast your pecans for approximately 8 minutes at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Whisk your flour, baking soda, cinnamon, allspice, and salt together in a large bowl and set aside. Mix the rest of the cake ingredients together on medium-low speed until completely combined in your mixer. Then slowly add your dry ingredients to the wet until fully incorporated. In 2 or 3 greased baking pans, bake your cake batter at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 35 minutes, rotating the pan halfway through. Cool completely before assembly. Hummingbirds are the smallest birds in the world. In fact, the largest of the hummingbirds, called the giant hummingbird, is only about 8 inches long and weighs the same as 4 quarters in your hand. So that's still very tiny, and the smallest hummingbird in the world is called the bumblebee hummingbird, and it weighs less than a single dime and is less than a few inches across. Despite their tiny size, hummingbirds, all of them, have mighty adaptations that help them survive, and they are really fascinating animals found in the Americas, both north and south. Hummingbirds are extremely fast animals, with the fastest of the hummingbirds flying in at over 90 miles an hour. Hummingbirds are extremely fast and are the only bird that can fly backwards. They can also fly left and right and upside down and turn on a dime. They are extreme flyers of our natural world. To make your cheesecake frosting, you will need 2 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese softened, 3/4 cup of unsalted butter softened, 5 cups of powdered sugar, 1 tablespoon of heavy cream, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1/8 teaspoon of salt. To make your frosting, beat the cream cheese and butter together until smooth, and then add the sugar, salt, and heavy cream and vanilla, and beat on high until the ingredients are silky and smooth. Hummingbirds get their name from the sound of their wings flapping, and this is because their wings flap at an incredible speed. Some species of hummingbird wings can flap at over 280 times per second. That's an incredible feat of speed and agility for hummingbirds, but it takes a lot of energy. Because they take so much energy flying, hummingbirds have to eat a lot, especially for their body weight. While they may only consume like 8 calories a day, their body weight is so small. Remember, they weigh less than 4 quarters, and the average hummingbird weighs about the same as a nickel. So weighing not that much and consuming about 8 calories, that's a whole lot. In fact, that's about half of their body weight every single day. And they'll feed about every 15 minutes using their forked tongue to drink nectar from plants. Hummingbirds are also extreme flyers, dive bombing anyone or anything that gets in their way. So they're pretty fearless. They've been known to dive bomb hawks and even humans, and they will pretty frequently eat insects as well. So thanks, hummingbirds. While hummingbirds are awesome, their food isn't always abundant. Think winter time. So most all hummingbirds are migratory. Some species flying up to 4,000 miles a year back and forth between breeding and feeding grounds. And if there isn't enough food available for them, they can enter something called torpor, which is where they lower their state of awareness and they kind of get cozy. So you can kind of think of it as like a very low range hibernation. So they don't actually hibernate, it is called torpor, it's something different, but they just slow down all the processes in their body to be able to go without food for a little while, especially because they need so much for themselves every day. Hummingbirds have the world's smallest eggs, about the size of a pea, and their nests alone are only about the size of a golf ball. Really tiny, and that makes sense because hummingbirds are really tiny. Hummingbirds are beautiful animals. They can range the whole color of the rainbow. Their feathers are always really small and shimmering, and they're wonderfully vibrant animals that kind of blend in with the flowers that they consume. However, not all hummingbirds are this vibrant. Only the males are, and this is because the males want to be very attractive for the ladies, but the ladies, they want to be able to blend in when they're sitting on a branch in their little nest because they don't want to be eaten by a predator while they're really vulnerable sitting on that tree branch. For your decoration, you will need fondant, preferably white, an X-Acto knife, brushes for painting, food coloring, and clear alcohol to thin the food coloring. To create your fondant hummingbird, first, roll out your fondant, then draw a hummingbird with an edible marker, use an X-Acto knife to cut out your hummingbird, then use your food coloring and the paintbrushes to decorate your fondant, making sure you use gel food coloring because any water on fondant will destroy it. Once you've painted your hummingbird, whatever color or decorations that you like, then you can assemble your cake. To assemble your cake, first cut off the dome off the top of any of your cakes, and then cut your cakes in half. Ice each layer and then the top, leaving the sides of the cake fairly bare. Decorate the top with a fondant hummingbird, your fondant flowers if you wish to make them, and sprinkle the edges with pecans. And then enjoy your cake. Hummingbirds are threatened by loss of habitat, loss of natural plants for food, and by being caught by feral cats, which sounds crazy, but is true. So fortunately, there's so many ways that you and I can help hummingbirds right here. So first, keep your cats inside. If you have cats and they like to go outside, either make a catio, take them out on a leash, but don't just let them run around because lots of animals, not just hummingbirds, do get eaten by cats every year. And so the best thing that we can do is spay and neuter your pets and keep them inside whenever you can. The next thing that you can do is feed hummingbirds. Now, a couple of things about feeding hummingbirds. Hummingbird feeders are basically in any store and you can bring them home to you. Generally, hummingbirds do really like the color red, so try to find a feeder that has red on it, but do not put red dye in your hummingbird food because the red dye can actually do more harm than good to the hummingbirds. It can make them sick. But if you want to feed a hummingbird, the solution is just 1 part sugar to 3 parts water. You mix it up, it's called a simple syrup. You pour it in and then you hang it up and voila, your hummingbirds have food. And this is really good because they are often lacking that food in the natural habitat because we've built our homes there. So yet another thing that you can do to help hummingbirds is just simply plant native plants that hummingbirds like to eat in your backyard or on your patio. By providing these plants for the hummingbird, you're providing places for them to go and eat and even rest. So you might get to see cute little hummingbirds even being born right in your backyard. Finally, the conservation project for this week is Smithsonian National Zoo's bird-friendly coffee. If you like to drink coffee as much as I like to drink coffee, I'm always looking for ways that the coffee can be good for the environment. And bird-friendly coffee does just that. It partners with farms and suppliers and restaurant chains, and even you, to help make coffee that is friendly for birds. So they're not cutting down trees or causing deforestation or cutting away natural flowering plants that birds like the hummingbirds need to survive. So if you go to the National Smithsonian Zoo website, you can go to their bird-friendly coffee. You can order it online from them. You can find retailers near you with a store locator that sells the bird-friendly coffee. You can even find the farms that help plant and grow the plants that make your coffee and see exactly where your food is coming from, which is never a bad idea. It's always great to know what you're putting in your mouth and where it comes from. This has been another episode of Spoonful of Species. I hope that you had as much fun watching it as I had making it. We're here to tackle conservation one bat at a time, so like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.